Hello and welcome to our training video on Microsoft Outlook. This is a part of our series on Microsoft 365 training. Microsoft 365, of course, used to be called Office 365, so I am re-recording many of my videos to post my contact information in the description of this video. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Alright, so today's topic is Microsoft Outlook. Outlook is how we access email in the Microsoft 365 system. So the first thing to know about using Outlook in 365 is that there's multiple versions of Outlook. There's different places to get to the same thing, the same email. So here on my desktop, I have the traditional Microsoft Outlook program. I'll just double click and open that up. Okay, Microsoft 365. And here we go. Where in Microsoft Outlook, probably you've used this program before. However, it's important to realize that, again, there's multiple places to get to Outlook. I'm going to show you here how I can get to Outlook online. I'm just going to open up my usual web browser, Google Chrome. Okay. And if I head right on over to portal.office.com and sign in, so this is just a website. Enter my username and my password. Now notice here I have an additional security measure set up on my account, a two-factor authentication. You may or may not have this, just as an aside. So I need to pull out a smartphone here and get an additional code to sign in. Okay, so I've just signed in to the website version of the Microsoft 365 portal. And here I can access all of 365 online in a web browser from any computer without having to install any software. I suggest you go back and watch the quick start video on 365 if you haven't. But what we're interested with in here is Outlook online, right here. I'll just click Outlook. And alright, this is what I'll call Outlook online. You might hear people call it the Outlook web app. That's kind of an out-of-date term, but it's just a website version of Outlook. So the Outlook I'm looking at here on the website, this is the same email as I have here in my Outlook desktop software. So two ways to get to the same thing, and there's multiple and many ways. Probably the most common one after these two would be to use a smartphone and go ahead and get the Microsoft Outlook app on your iPhone or your Android device, and then you can access Outlook from there. So everything is going to stay in sync across all these places. It's the same account. I know I'm sort of repeating myself here, but it's an important concept to realize. So just going to send myself a little test message here. Probably use this message for a few things in the video. So send a little test message, and notice I'm going to receive it here. So I've got it here in the website and also in my desktop Outlook program. So two sides of the same coin, two ways to access the same thing. And remember, if you're away from your usual computer, you want to get into your email, portal.office.com, sign right in, and you can access Outlook online there. That being said, most of this video we are going to talk about the desktop Outlook program. It does provide the easiest access to the full set of features, in my opinion, and in reality it's just what most folks out there are using most. So let's look at the desktop Outlook program. First thing, we'll kind of take a little tour here of the layout of the program. So here on the left we have the folder pane. This is showing all of our email folders, inbox, drafts, sent, deleted, so on and so forth over here. The message list, that's what we call this here in the middle. The list of messages, of course. The navigation pane is an important one. Down here at the bottom left, notice I can switch between my email, calendar, contacts, to-do list, right? That's the navigation pane. The preview pane, here on the right, this section, if I click a message, I'm going to see the message itself in the preview pane. And then last but not least, the ribbon, the Office ribbon, that's what we call this section across the top here with all of our different options and controls. Notice with the ribbon that we have a few different tabs. So these different tabs, home, send and receive, view, help, are going to give a different set of options. So you don't see what you're looking for. Let's say I want to change the view. Tab on over to view. Here's where I can change my view options. Alright, so that is the layout of the Microsoft Outlook program. One thing that might trip you up, or you might notice right off if you are new to the 365 system, is focused versus other. What does that mean? Well, automatically 365 is trying to help you out. Focus, it's going to automatically sort emails that look important, emails that look like they're from a real person really typing to you are going to appear under focus. Stuff that looks like junk mail or advertisements or automated messages is going to land in other. So here's all kinds of automated blogs and ads and things I've got in other, versus things that are real are in focus. Personally, I think it's a great feature. I love focused versus other. If you are not in love with it, however, we're going to go right up here to the View tab and just deselect Show Focused Inbox. And now we have the traditional all unread tabs here. I'm going to turn focus back on because I like it, but that's how you can turn it off. Oops. Alright. The most basic functions of the program we're going to find on the Home tab. Really doesn't need any explanation. New email, reply, forward, all that good stuff. That's where those are if you're having a hard time finding them right off. Okay. To start a new email. New email. I don't think anyone needs, hopefully you don't need an explanation on this at this point, but that's where they are. Okay. A couple other buttons I'll point out, deleting and also archiving. Important to understand the difference. So if I have an email that I would like to be rid of forever, I am never going to need it again, I am going to click on the delete button, the trash can. Incidentally, I can also right click and select delete down here. Now delete, once again, that's when you're ready to be done with something forever. If you have even an inkling that you might want that message again, but you're not quite, you want to get it out of your inbox, but you might see yourself needing it somewhere down the line, well, in that case, we're going to use archive. Archive is going to get it out of your inbox and put it in the archive folder, and then you can access it in the future. Okay? Now, Microsoft 365, they just changed it. 365 comes with plenty of space on your email, so in general, I advise people, if you think you're ever going to need an email again, archive it. I archive a lot of stuff, and really only delete something if you are never going to need it again. Yes, true, if you hit delete, it's going to land in your deleted items folder, so you can go back and get it. But here's the thing about deleted items. it's going to empty itself automatically. I believe by default every 30 days items are deleted forever from deleted items. So when in doubt, use archive. There's plenty of space. You're not going to run out most likely by archiving stuff. Let's talk about one of the best features in Outlook for 365, which is the search function. Now, it used to be that search in Outlook was kind of slow and didn't work very well, frankly. Search has gotten a lot better with 365, so please feel free to use it. I much prefer search to having a bunch of folders and things when we're looking through our email. But in any event, you can access the search box up here across the top and pretty much just type something in, right? Test. And I send a lot of test messages, so we see them there. You can also, of course, search by someone's particular email. You know, have I sent something to my personal? Yes, I have. Here, we can edit the scope of our search. So by default, current mailbox, that means your current email account. Some people, myself included, have multiple email addresses in their Outlook. You know, I have my personal company email, but then I have the info account. So if I'd want to search, you know, I can change it here to search all the mailboxes. I can search just a folder, or if you're really having a tough time finding something, all Outlook items is great. Notice here you can also drill in and search in attachments, define the from address. Is there something in the subject? Is there all kinds of stuff, all kinds of options in search. Pretty powerful, and once again works a lot better than it used to. When you're through with a search, you can click here, close search. Okay, so please do use search. Try it out. Works a lot better. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. Works a lot better than it did in previous versions of Outlook. Now, if you have thousands upon thousands of email, and especially if you've just migrated to 365 and things have not been completely indexed yet, well, in that case, search might not be blazing fast right off, but please do try it out. Okay, another thing that's kind of new in 365 Outlook email is blocked content. So you might find you open up a certain email and there's some stuff missing. Okay, this email looks kind of strange. The pictures are missing in this email here. Okay, well, that's a security and safety feature for your security and for your privacy. The images and other dynamic non-text content is being blocked. Here's a missing image here, and that's usually going to happen, especially for an email that's from an automated service or an ad or something like that. If you do want to view the pictures in the image, you need to click here across the top. Click here to download pictures. To help protect your privacy. Outlook prevented automatic download of some pictures. So I can click here and say download pictures. I could also add them to my safe senders list. In that case, it's always going to be, I'm always going to see pictures from this particular sender automatically. Here I'm just going to click download pictures. Okay, lo and behold, the images have appeared. So just something that could trip you up. Don't be surprised, there's nothing wrong. Again, that's actually a security feature and a privacy feature. There is different ways to spread an infection in an email through dynamic content. There's ways to track you and kind of violate your privacy through some of these images and so forth. So that's what that's all about. Okay, signatures. Something that people are usually, surprisingly, I've found in my experience, surprisingly touchy sometimes about their signatures, especially if they've just moved to a new email. If you want to edit a signature in Outlook, I just click new email. I've started a new email. Here's the signature button right here, right next to attachments. Click here, our little pen and paper signatures, and now I can set a signature for my account. I'm going to do a new signature, default sig. type in what you want the signature to be. You can edit, of course, bold, underline, change the font. And especially notice over here, you can change, do you want the signature to be for new messages, or also to include the signature on replies and forwards. Typically I say put the signature just on your new messages, especially if it's kind of a long one. It's a little bit silly in my opinion if you're emailing back and forth with someone and they're getting an email that says, okay, sure, you've already emailed them 10 times that day, and they're getting your signature. But do as you like and as you please. But that's my general kind of best practice on signatures. So again, just from any new email message, the signature button is right here, and you can set yourself up a signature. Let's talk about categories, a feature that maybe a lot of people haven't used in Outlook previously, but I would encourage you to look at and learn about. Now, I wish I could say I practice what I preach. I don't use categories too often, but in honesty, I'm not processing mountains of email. I get a fair amount, but I'm not processing mountains of email like some people in a little more communications-driven business, I guess you could say, are doing. So the reason I bring up categories is to contrast it with folders. If you are someone who has a million, you look over here in the the folder pane, you've got a million folders, they go all the way down the page, you got to scroll down to see all the names of all your clients or all your projects. I'm sorry to say it, but I have to say my honest and professional opinion, I would steer you away from that strategy of using folders. They, in my experience, can slow things down a little bit, and frankly, with the search being as good as it is, it's a little bit old-fashioned, again, just in my opinion, a little bit old-fashioned to have all those folders when we can just search for something, search for an email from any particular client, any particular vendor, any subject, any project. I can search instantly up here, so why take the time? It just kind of makes me clench my teeth when I see someone scroll through their list of a million folders and scroll, and then take the email and drag it over into the folder. I see if you can add up how much time you spend on that would be my advice. In any event, categories are a great alternative to folders for a few reasons. I'm going to categorize this email right here. Just right click, categorize, and I've already set up some categories. So let's say priority. Okay, now this is categorized as a priority email. It's got my little orange red tag on it. Great. Well, couple reasons why categories are better than folders. Number one, you can do multiple categories on the same email. So you can't, here it's telling me I've not used this category before. That's fine. No, I don't want to rename it. So now I've made this a red and blue email. Can't put an email into two folders. The other thing about categories is that you can use rules. We'll talk about rules later. We'll use rules to automatically categorize emails. Now, that's fantastic because we can have an email go into the inbox with a category on it already. If you want to use rules to process folders, which some people do, then the email is going to land in the folder before the processing rule that you have set up. And again, if you aren't familiar with what rules are, we'll talk about them in a minute here. It's going to land in the folder, and you're not going to see it in your inbox, which is a big problem in my opinion. So how do we deal with categories? Well, first of all, we need to set them up. Here's the categories button right here. So click this. I'm just going to go to all categories. In here I can edit them, change my colors. I've only set up a couple. Change my colors here, rename the existing colors, so on and so forth. Set everything up how I like it. Notice we can also set a shortcut key. So I could say, let's make priority we're going to give the shortcut key Control F2. So I have this email. I want to make it priority category, Control F2. There we go. It's categorized. Cannot do that quickly with folders. I just hate folders. You might be gathering by now. I hate email folders. Sorry if you use them. You can still use them. They still work for sure in Outlook with 365. But try out categories. Experiment with them. They can be a pretty powerful thing, especially if you're working on a bigger team. If you're something like, a lawyer, or you're involved in sales and you're dealing with just hundreds of emails every day, they can be pretty powerful thing. Okay, I said we'd be talking about message rules. Let's look at what rules are. Once again, if you've not used them before, pretty powerful feature, so do check them out. But if I want to create and edit rules, I just need to right click any email. Doesn't have to be a particular one, but any old email, right click and go down to rules, and then I can do manage rules and alerts. Also notice, if I right click this email and go rules, create rule, that's going to create one kind of based on this particular message. But to get to them all, let's go rules, manage rules and alerts. So what is a rule? A rule is automatically going to do something to certain emails. In other words, there's a condition and there's an action. So I'm going to make an example here. A new rule. Okay, here's some common templates that they provided for you. Move messages from a certain person into a folder, so on and so forth. Once again, I hate folders, so we're not going to talk about those. But in any event, most often I find myself going down here, apply rule. This is a blank rule or a custom rule. Apply rule on messages I receive, and that gives us a blank slate. Here's our conditions, all kinds of conditions. Most common ones are at the top. So we could say our rule to process emails from certain people or a certain group with a specific word in the subject, sent only to me, so on and so forth. So let's set a rule here. An email from certain people or a certain public group. Now I need to edit the criteria, so I'm going to click on the words people or public group here, and now I can add in who I want to process here. I'm actually going to click my own name and add myself just for a demonstration. Next. So that's our condition. Now we need to select an action. Move to a specified folder. Well, we hate folders, so no. Assign it to a category. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Automatically assign it to a category. Automatically delete it. All kinds of actions here. Please read through them. Play around with them. But I'm going to say automatically assign to the priority category any emails from myself. Exceptions, we could add an exception here. Delete all of the emails from the Burlington Chamber of Commerce except if they have my name in there as a specific word. This is where you can add exceptions. I don't need one for this, so I'll just click next. And let's say just give it a rule, prioritize from me. Notice this option here if we want to run the rule on our inbox, what we already have in our inbox, or if we only wanted to apply to future messages. I'm just going to leave this unchecked, but just make a note of that. Okay, so finish. Yep. Okay, this is only going to run when you check your email in Outlook. That's okay. Apply. And okay. So again, we've set a rule to prioritize emails from me. So let's send a test message here. Test rule 1. Okay, send this. See if we get it in just a second here. Okay, so it did come through, and here we go. It's got the priority category put on it automatically. So that is rules and how you can use them. Once again, maybe not a lot of people are using rules currently, but please do experiment with them, play around with them. Okay, contacts in Outlook. How do we use and manage contacts in the address book? Well, down here in the navigation pane, here's our little people icon. And contacts section here. I'm actually guilty here of not keeping too many people in my contacts. Truth is, in 365, when you've emailed with someone back and forth, their name is going to pop up automatically when you are sending a new email. So I don't keep an extensive address book. Sorry, but if you do, that's fine. So that's how we access our contacts here. To add a new contact, of course, right here, new contact button, I can type in someone's name and their email address, so on and so forth, and just hit save. Now I've added a contact. Okay, that's kind of a slow way of doing it. It tends to be a lot faster when we have an email that someone has sent us. If we hover over their name, just hold the mouse over their name without clicking, then I'm going to get their description here. Click these little three dots, add to Outlook contacts, right? And now it's going to pop up for me to add them to my contacts there. When we actually go to send a new email, once again, all kinds of people are showing up in my contacts, even if I have not added them formally to my contacts. Anyone I've emailed back and forth with pops up automatically in here. That being said, if you do want to select a particular contact, click on the To button, and you're going to see all of your contacts. You can look through if you have multiple address books set up. Typically they're just under contacts. I actually do have a list here of all my clients when I want to email them all in bulk. And that's how we can select a contact. So that's really all there is to it with contacts. Should be pretty self-explanatory. We'll now take a look at the calendar section of Outlook. So to get to calendar, I'm just going to click the calendar icon down here on the navigation pane, and that opens up the calendar. Notice on the left you can have multiple calendars set up. If I check the box to view another calendar, then I'm going to see them side by side. I can also overlay the two calendars, so I've got my own mailbox calendar here in blue. I've got the info calendar here in green. I can overlay them as such. But let's just look at the default calendar for my own account. So to create a new appointment, a couple different ways to do it. I can just click New Appointment here. I can also click and drag a time slot on the calendar and do a new appointment. A few other options here, less frequently used, recurring appointment, meeting requests, so on and so forth. Let's just do a new appointment. Quite a few options here. I can add in the details of the event or appointment down here. Give it a title, that's mandatory. Desk appointment. Make sure the start and end time are correct. I can also check the box, make it an all-day event. I can enter a location, just for laughs. Just for laughs. Meet me at McDonald's. How about? Even though they're not open, we'll go through the drive-through. And that's it. If it's just for me, I can just save it, and now it's appeared. I can double-click to edit it, edit the event. Notice here is the button to invite an attendee. You can make someone required or optional. I'm going to go ahead and invite just the info mailbox, just for laughs. We'll say it's optional for me to be there. And then we hit the send button, and when we've invited someone, it's actually going to send an invitation into their mailbox. So here I am in info. I've actually received here an invitation to the test appointment, and then the person you've invited, they can accept, tentative, decline, all kinds of options. You might also want to make an event recurring. So if you'd like to make something repeat over and over again, make recurring here. Weekly, monthly, yearly. You can dial in these options here to make something repeat. Let's see, what else with calendar events? That's really just about it. The calendar, like a lot of things in Outlook, is fairly powerful, has a lot of features if you're really busy, suggested times, right? All kinds of stuff that you can play around with here, but that is the basics. Okay, the final section will be tasks, which is the to-do list in Microsoft Outlook. So I'm just going to click the tasks button down here in the navigation pane. And I actually do use tasks in Outlook a lot for my to-do list, which, as you can see, is about a mile long. I've got things sorted into a few different lists I've created here: personal tasks, spring projects, a wish list. So just like anything in Outlook, the new button is at the top left to create a new task. Let's call it test task AAA. You can add some details here. Also change the start date. Change what the due date is. Let's make it due tomorrow. You can add a reminder. It's going to send you an email. Even play a sound if you wanted it to, kind of silly. But it will email you a reminder to take care of the task. So let's close this here. See if I can find it in my list. Actually I have another test task, but just right click and mark complete when it's done, and there you go. It's gone off of your task list. So that's how tasks and to-do lists works. You can view completed tasks. I'm going to go up here, view, change view, completed, and see everything I've done. See, I have been doing something somewhat productive. Also lean things out, things just in the next 7 days. So it looks like I got a late load, so that's great. And so on and so forth. I should also note when we make a new task, just like with a calendar event, I can click here and make a recurring task. If I have something I need to do every month, put it on here and set it to monthly. So there you go. This has been our tutorial on Microsoft Outlook. If you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments or send me an email. Any questions, please comment on the video or send me an email. I am going to post my contact information in the description of the video down below. So there you have it. This has been the training video on Microsoft Outlook in Microsoft 365 by Green Mountain IT Solutions. Thanks for watching. Notice I can switch between